Beautiful. Hashtag Genio for life. So majority of the coffee around the world comes from 4 main continents, which is Africa, South America, Central America, and Asia. A good place to start would be the most common countries within those continents. Try choose something that you're going to enjoy roasting. Choose a bean that's popular within your community. If they're going to enjoy it, you're going to enjoy roasting the coffee more. So choose it based on what you're comfortable with and what you think your community is going to enjoy. Very important. Choosing screen size when it comes to green bean is very important. You want to ensure that you've got a good consistent screen size, because roast to roast, you don't want to have to change your parameters on a regular basis. So it's probably best that you choose something consistent across all your beans, because then you'll have consistency throughout all your roast. So especially when it comes to blending your single origins, the screen sizes that are the same is going to be very consistent, and your grind size will be far more consistent when you are grinding a combination of beans that are the same screen size. The vital part of when choosing green beans based on origin and altitude is the fact that you're going to need to adjust your charge temperatures accordingly to compensate for the density of the bean, because you're going to need to put a lot more energy into the bean from the beginning that will carry you through the entire roast. Lower density or lower altitude coffees would require a slightly lower charge. You're going to be a little bit more delicate, and especially when it comes to natural coffees versus washed coffees. Ensure that you always consider that with every roast, whether it be an African, Central, South American or Asian coffee. A good place to start is around 180 degrees on a full capacity, and then take it from there. So a natural coffee is always going to deliver a far more complex flavor. Because of the fact that the coffee has gone through additional fermentation, you've got to take into consideration you need to lower your charge temperature to have a slightly longer drying phase. It's going to take you nicely through Maillard and give you an additional time to do your caramelization phase. Natural coffees need to be treated a little bit more delicately, but remember, you also need to watch your roast carefully and ensure you don't lose energy throughout that roast. If you are going with a slightly better quality natural coffee, you want to always ensure that you play around with the development phase. So you might find, because of the fermentation and because of the reaction of the acids and the sugars, you would want to start at a point of possibly about 20% development and then tweak it from there. You want to obviously ensure that you're getting the correct amount of development. So I find personally with natural coffees, it's a bit of trial and error initially, but once you've hit that sweet spot, it's absolutely perfect. Washed coffees, you definitely have the ability to be a lot more aggressive with. They are generally a little bit denser, and especially when it comes to higher grown washed coffees, you need to hit them a lot harder with your charge, and you have the ability to start with a lower airflow and work up to a higher airflow. Proof is in the tasting. Taste again, trial and error. It's not a case of every coffee is going to deliver a specific flavor according to what your expectation is. When you're uncertain about your moisture content, I would advise that you check with your supplier to check the moisture content. Communicate with your supplier, ensure that you're getting a crop that is a decent age. Remember, the age of the crop is directly going to impact the moisture that's within the coffee. What will end up happening is you're going to tackle that coffee in a way that it shouldn't be tackled because of the age of the crop. You need to ensure that you know exactly how old that coffee is. And if you're unable, you need to be able to check the moisture content, and that will verify exactly where to start. Try to get as much information as you can. The information of the crop should be on the side of the bag. The screen size, look at the beans, see that there's consistency. If you see multiple screen sizes, check with your supplier that this is not an ungraded coffee and it's multiple screen sizes. The best is, and unfortunately sometimes it's a case of the trial and error, so you're going to need to drop that coffee in at a safe temperature, charge temp, and have a closer look at turning point. Make sure you got no scorching on the coffee. If you see that the coffee is taking long, especially you got to a quick turning point, quicker than you expected, then you know the coffee might be a bit drier than what it was. And if it took a lot longer, it might be a lot moister. So you would need to then speed up the roast accordingly to compensate. Try get as much information as you can from your supplier. Don't accept the fact that the information provided is good enough. Tick every box to ensure that you start in your roast to the best of your ability, that you can deliver the coffee to the best of its ability.